Sleep deprived Jaffe. How long did you stay up?
I woke up Wednesday morning, and now it's
Uh-oh.
Thursday afternoon.
Yeah. Okay. I don't think that was a good idea.
No, no, I don't know why I thought that would be good.
Yeah.
I don't know why I did that. I'm beginning to think this was a mistake, but this is episode 196 of the Insert Credit Show, and also confusingly the 420 special. So in the future, don't look to episode 420 for this. It's 196. Normally on the show, I present a panel of video game experts with a series of questions under strictly enforced guidelines. But to celebrate a milestone 420 patrons at patreon.com/insertcredit.
One day, right?
Yeah, that whole thing. I asked our producer to get extremely irresponsibly high and guest write the topics for this special while in that state.
Thanks, Esper.
Thanks, Esper. Esper did that couple months ago, so these questions will be almost as fresh to me as they are to you. There will be no buzzer this week, as we just go through the questions at our own pace and just call the show when we run out of them or when it feels right to do it. I'm Alex Jaffe, and I'm bringing a weird energy to this one because I thought that instead of getting high, it would be a good idea to alter my state of mind through sleep deprivation.
Bad idea.
I'm Frank Cifaldi, and I'm bringing a weird energy to this one because I'm doing absolutely nothing different than normal, and therefore I'll be the weird one.
That makes sense. I'm Brandon Sheffield. I'm bringing a weird energy by consuming some 2-month-old sake that I opened and then left in the fridge for a long time, and is much worse than it was before.
Well, to be clear, the sake itself is older than 2 months. It's just that it's been open for 2 months.
Yeah. It's been
Okay.
open for 2 months.
2 months open?
It's been aerating, I guess.
Yeah, it's been aerating. It's been getting worse. That kind of stuff.
Patrick Miller is here too. You know Patrick Miller. I don't have to
Hey, it's
introduce
me.
Patrick Miller.
I'll introduce Patrick Miller. Hi, I'm Patrick Miller. I'm, as far as I know, the only one of the Insert Credit extended family that actually smokes weed, and that always surprised the hell out of me.
Yeah.
But but here I am. Let's fucking do this, baby.
Let's fucking do it.
Man. I just can't. Something about my physiology just it doesn't.
No, yeah. I get
Yeah,
it.
I have that too.
I think it's an interesting topic. I don't know. I've tried so many times to enjoy smoking weed with friends, and I take a puff of the good weed, and I actually just have to go pass out immediately. Something's just wrong. So I can't join you, Patrick Miller. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Well, you're here now, and that's what counts.
The one that I get is there's 3. One is nothing happens.
I get that one too, actually, sometimes. So to be fair, I've tried multiple times. I've had one good experience, but for the most part, I just have to go lay down immediately.
Yeah. So I get nothing. I get I'm violently ill, and I get I'm really cranky. I've had one time when it was I felt a little bit floaty, but I had also had several alcohols. So it could have been that instead. So I've never had the good experience, and after a couple dozen times trying it, you're like, you know what? I've tried lozenges, I've tried weed, I've tried resin. Maybe this isn't for me. I've tried edibles.
Right.
It's just maybe this isn't my thing.
It's funny to me because I find that with weed, as with many other things in my life, I get into it and it is so obviously the right thing for me that I'm like, it takes me a while to realize that it's not similarly that for everyone else.
Right. I keep feeling like it should be.
I will smoke the weed so y'all don't have to. Yeah, no.
Yeah,
and
we
it
all
might
got
be-
different chemistry happening.
Yep.
My dad went to 64 Grateful Dead shows, so not smoking weed was kind of my way of rebelling against my parents.
Oh, that makes absolute sense. My dad was also a deadhead.
Man, I would play Grateful Dead 64.
Oh shit.
Yeah. Oh man, yeah. Jumping into Robert Crumb paintings is what you would do in that game.
Yeah. I got a self-portrait from Robert Crumb
Oh, cool.
when I was 8 or 9.
Whoa.
Yeah. So Robert Crumb, for those of you who don't know, is a Bay Area cartoonist who is known for keep on trekking and drawing big booty ladies
And Fritz the
really
cat.
skinny dudes. Yeah, that cat fella. He was pretty popular there in those 60s and 70s that they had. But he is also an amateur musician, and so he was a guest player. I think he played mandolin or banjo. I can't remember which one. In a group called the Cheap Suit Serenaders. And I, growing up in Berkeley and Oakland, I lived. I didn't live. I worked and sort of lived in a folk music club called the Freight and Salvage, which still exists today. But I pretty much grew up in there. Every evening when my parents would work, I would just be there around folk music. And I was kind of a burgeoning cartoonist myself in my younger days. And so I knew that Robert Crumb, was famous. And so I drew a little cartoon of my family as Alien, and then wrote a little note on it asking if he could sign it for me. And then I took it to the green room and ran away because I was allowed back there, and I was just a kid. Like, nobody cared if I was in there. But then he drew a whole self-portrait of himself with a bunch of little bubbles around it because he was sick with a cold, and then he sneezed on it. So I also have his cold jar.
Oh, you can clone him.
I can clone him if I want to.
You can make S through Z Crumb out of that.
That's right. Yeah, any of the rest of the crumbs. I could make a whole slice of bread if I put
Yeah.
them all together. So.
You can make croutons. So these are the questions that Esper wrote. The first one is a softball. What game characters smoke weed, and what game characters are narcs?
So many narcs.
Narc is a narc.
Narc is a narc.
Yeah.
His name is Narc?
Yeah, Captain Narc.
Yeah, Narc
Captain
the Lad.
Narc. Okay.
No,
Okay.
there's a video game called Narc, which
I'm
thinking about.
aware of the video game called Narc. I'm also aware of the PS2 era reboot Narc, which is like a bad GTA, and you could take drugs or not.
Yeah, that was really bad.
Yeah, but there was like a cool like dive move that looked really silly, that you could just like run around and dive in the street all the time.
So I think Bonk smokes weed.
Yeah.
No, actually, I think he consumes the plant directly, and so he probably doesn't really get high unless he eats a whole bunch of it.
All the Hudson characters smoke weed.
That's true. Yeah, Bomberman, he's vaping inside that helmet. He's just hotboxing in the helmet.
More like Bonger Man.
Nice. Oh, that's one. That's our first one. I'm keeping tally of the weed puns here.
Already on the Patreon, there was a Bonk's Adventure joke. I think that Link has smoked weed without realizing it.
Yeah.
Or cooked, maybe cooked with it accidentally. I feel like for anyone who's not in the smoking zone, it is more likely that, when Link's going around harvesting or collecting all those,
herbs and such.
Exactly. He's got to just accidentally throw some shit in there, right? See what happens. Yeah. Oh shit, it was in there with butter. You done.
As some guy in the Southern American states told to my dad, "You don't want to be smoking that ditch weed." When my dad got off of his school bus that he had modified and was driving across America, and was like, "Look, there's marijuana just growing on the ground." And some guy in a cowboy hat was like, "You don't want to be smoking that ditch weed." So, yep, watch out for the ditch weed.
Yeah.
So Link's probably cooking with that ditch weed.
I'll tell you who's a narc is the main character from Dishonored, because he's always trying to dish on a red.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, the cop archetype, right, is so ingrained in video games that there's a lot of narcs.
Yeah, I mean, Master Chief's a narc, honest. Probably.
Yeah.
Yep.
Is Gears of War a narc? Is Marcus Phoenix a narc, but Coltrane smokes?
Marcus Phoenix?
No, Marcus Phoenix smokes weed.
Yeah.
Okay.
You didn't read the comic books.
Yeah. The comic books written by noted Republican Karen Travis.
This is somewhat adjacent to video games, but the prevalence of like Dragon Ball characters, but they're all weeded up. I mean, weeding something up in internet memes and such. Such a broad brush you can paint on anything.
Rasta Bart Simpson.
That kind of stuff. I always felt like there was something deeply impressive to me about someone looking at a Goku or a Vegeta and just being like, you know what this dude needs? He needs a backwards baseball cap. Goku. If Goku smoked weed, his life already seems pretty good. So I can't talk too much shit about that. But I don't know. Maybe the episodes just get a little bit longer. Right?
Yeah.
Maybe things slow down a little bit more, but maybe people don't yell so much. Maybe people find time to talk through stuff instead of always beating the crap out of you.
Yeah, I haven't watched Z yet, but I've watched the original, and Pilaf and his crew definitely smoke weed.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite thing about that show is that Pilaf and his crew, his crew of two, sleep in the same room.
Yeah.
That is the best. Like I'm 2 episodes away from finishing the original.
I love
Dragon
the
Ball,
Pilaf crew,
and that is the best thing about that show is that the bad guys sleep in the same room together.
Yeah, it's good. Bunk bed. Yeah, I mean all those Sonic characters, except maybe Tails. Amy doesn't smoke weed.
Oh, Sonic doesn't smoke weed. Come on.
He
I think
doesn't smoke
Sonic just
weed.
gets high from running.
Yeah,
He's got
yeah.
that
Yeah,
runner's high.
he's the runner's high. That's his deal.
Tails, I think, probably smokes weed.
Metal
Really?
Sonic's just a big bomb.
If you could fly like that, I mean, maybe Tails in the state that he is depicted, maybe Tails in Sonic games is like too young or too innocent, but is the type to eventually smoke weed.
Yeah, I believe that. In high school.
He's growing up a narc,
Yeah.
but he'll snap out of it. Like that's
Yeah.
what Tails is.
Yeah.
Rouge the Bat smokes weed. Knuckles smokes weed.
Oh, Knuckles smokes a lot of weed. He
Knuckles,
smokes,
Knuckles smokes hashish.
Somehow Metal Sonic smokes weed.
No,
but
Metal
regular
Sonic is a bong.
doesn't.
He
Oh,
is
he's
a
a
bong.
bong.
Metal Sonic is a volcano. You could, like that is a finely like engineered German precision vaping device that costs $600.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Metal Sonic is Dr. Robotnik's bong.
I mean, so Patrick was asking about Mario and Luigi.
Yeah.
I don't think they smoke weed. I
No.
don't think they're narcs. I think you ask Mario about weed, he just kind of looks at you blankly for like 5 seconds, and then he goes, "What?" and then runs away.
And then he pulls a giant radish out of the ground, like, huh? Is this what
Yeah.
you're talking about?
I think Mario and Luigi just not accidentally, occasionally sneak a little piece of Toad's hat and
Yeah.
go on a mystical journey.
It grows back. Don't worry about
Yeah,
it.
it's the most.
He doesn't feel it. There are no pain receptors up there.
Is Toad? I thought Toad was female.
Toad's a species. Come on.
Yeah, Toad's a species.
Oh, yeah,
Get
I
with
guess
it. Get
Toad
with
is
it.
not.
Come on, people.
Okay,
Come on.
Yeah.
Pac-Man smokes weed, right? Come on.
Pac-Man smokes weed.
Yeah.
Mr. Game & Watch smokes weed.
Well,
Donkey
Pac-Man
Kong
used to
smokes
smoke weed. Pac-Man used to smoke weed before he was a family man.
Yeah,
Pac-Man's popping pills, as far as I'm concerned.
yeah.
Yeah, I think weed would be like the come down for Pac-Man. That's like the after
Right.
party.
Anyway, this
Yeah.
is good, but we should move on because there's no buzzer and I got stuff to do. Let's
Yeah,
go.
okay, here's our next
Come on,
question.
people. Come on.
Fine. What are some underrated gamer snacks?
Doritos.
In what universe is are burritos underrated?
Yeah, I know there was a joke, but we shouldn't be eating Doritos right now because Frito-Lay is on strike.
Who owns Cheez-Its?
Bisco?
I think it's Sunshine, but I like Cheez-Its a lot,
I like Cheez-Its too.
especially the extra toasty ones. Or extra toasted.
Oh, those make me
Good go.
sick for some reason.
No, that's wrong.
Whoa. Yeah.
I like the Tabasco Cheez-Its. I don't know if they still make them shits, but that shit was good.
Oh.
I feel like Cheez-Its are not the same as when I was a kid, and I don't know if that's kid memory or if they've cheapened them. I feel like it's the latter. I feel like they're not as cheesy as they used to be.
I feel like they made Sprite different than they did when I was a kid. Has anyone drunk Sprite recently?
No.
I have.
But I only the McDonald's.
I mean, not that recent. I'm talking about in the last 5 years. I had a Sprite, and I was shocked at the amount of sugar they had in there. But it might just be because I hadn't had one in 10 years before that.
I will give you my favorite video game snack, and it's at Game Center, which is the fighting game venue that we run events out of in Belmont. The proprietor, his name's Myung, has a soda machine, and one of the buttons is random select, where he just loads it up
That
with
rules.
Oh,
a
I love
selection of
that.
one-offs, and everyone looks at the options and they're like, I could choose this drink or I could get random select. And most of the other options are like, he's got Arizona iced tea, bottled water, Coke, Sprite, whatever. The stuff in random select is like Baja Blast, Vanilla Coke, Cactus Cooler. Y'all know Cactus Cooler? Brandon, I feel
Yeah.
like you
I've
might
heard
know
of it.
Cactus Cooler. Yeah. One, Cactus Cooler is definitely underrated gamer snack. And two, how you get the snack just increases the value of that snack. Right now we're all like gotcha pulling our sodas and it feels amazing.
Yeah, you get to be Ryo Hazuki
Yeah.
and
Exactly.
getting your snack.
Like some lucky hit.
Okay, I want one of those, but like it's a 0-calorie random. Then I'm in.
Yep.
Diet random.
Yeah, diet random.
You sound like a man who partakes of the fruit flavored sparkling water stuff.
Indeed.
What are your favorites? Because I've definitely spent the last 2 years just combing that aisle, and oh man, it's exploding with options.
It's exploding. It's a product sector that is exploding right now. My favorite of all time has been canceled. It was
Oh no!
Mine too.
It was by Aha, and it was black cherry coffee.
Man,
Oh man, I had some of those. Those were good. Those were weird,
Yeah.
but those were
my
good.
favorite that was also canceled, which is also by Aha, which is, by the way, Coca-Cola Company, unfortunately,
Interesting. Okay.
is ginger apple was 100% my very
Ooh.
favorite. It
That
was
was
so
also
good.
I think Aha in general is my favorite, unfortunately. I don't know that any corporations that make sodas that get to all the grocery mega markets are kind, probably not.
I go for Soleil, which is just Safeway's brand.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I've been digging into Soleil lately, and the cucumber melon, the apple. There's some good underrated hits.
Yes.
I was a little skeptical.
No, they're good. Apple is good. Tangerine is good. Cucumber melon, I was drinking for way too long and burned out on. But yeah,
Got it. Yeah, that
Soleil's
happens.
got some good ones. I just want to say wrap snacks.
Ooh, wrap snack.
For my girlfriend specifically, all the wrap snacks are like sour cream and onion, but there's a little honey or sugar in it, or barbecue and it's a little bit sweet. So it's all like those flavor. If you like a tinge of sweetness in your chip, then wrap snacks are really good. And one other that I have to recommend is Hava chips, which I think you can only get in California, but these are my favorite chips in the world. They are corn chips with soy sauce and lime, and there's no quality control. So sometimes you get one that's got not very much on it, and sometimes you get a dark one and you're like, heck yeah, I'm gonna get some salt today. Anyway, Hava chips, they're made in Laguna Beach, California, and I've been eating them since I was a wee bairn, and they still exist, and they're excellent if you can get hold.
All right, on the subject of chips, I'm a Zapp's Voodoo chips guy. Is my choice. And another sparkling water, real quick, is Nixie brand peach black tea. So you're seeing a bit of a trend here with my tastes, I guess, in the sparkling water.
Yeah, you want some caffeine in there.
You prefer the caffeine.
I don't care about the caffeine. I just like the flavor. I want some bitter with my sweet.
It was really interesting for me to look at one of the, like, I think it was like a mango black tea ingredients and realize there isn't actually any tea in there. It's black tea flavoring, right? It is flavoring just like any other flavor that they work with. And then that got me thinking, if I drank those canned flavored waters out of a glass without seeing what the thing was, like if I had not been the one to buy it, right? If I was truly random selecting it or blind drinking it, I probably would not be able to work backwards from the flavor to tell you what they described it as.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I would just like to shout out friend of the show, Lottie May, who tweets every time she gets a bag of Milky Way magic stars.
Oh, that's right.
And rates the weight, the count, and how many stars are broken to give a score to each bag.
Yeah, I mean, that's gamer dedication.
Yeah, that's a gamer snack.
I don't remember the specific fruits, but it's something like watermelon flavor in the US for candy is like pear flavor in the UK or something. So like there really is something to that. But really most underrated gamer snack is grapes. Come on, let's move on.
Okay.
I can't believe they localized watermelon as pear. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, they put angry eyebrows on it.
And there's also a U in pear. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. However,
next is memorable video game related dreams.
Wait, do I get a point for the first slam on the British?
Sure.
I thought you didn't want points.
No, nobody wins this episode.
Okay, all right.
Oh, good.
There's going to be a team game at the end, but
a team game.
Yeah, so nobody wins or loses that one.
Okay, so what was the prompt again?
Memorable video game dream.
Well, I guess there's that one in the old Metal Gear Solid where you just like dream a whole other game sequence, right?
Yeah.
Right, and that was, I believe, a prototype that same studio had put together for a game they did not pursue. And so they just put it in as Snake's Dream.
Huh.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
That was in Metal Gear Solid 3.
Got it. My head immediately went to Link to the Past. Isn't that a dream?
Link's Awakening is a dream.
There we go.
But it's like you're in someone else's dream.
Super Mario Brothers 2 is famously a dream.
Yeah. Bart's Nightmare?
Bart's Nightmare is a dream.
Yeah, that game sucks, but can't avoid it.
No Nightmare should be a best dream, though. So that doesn't
Kirby,
qualify.
Nightmare in Dreamland.
That's a nightmare.
Or Kirby's Dreamland.
Okay, these are technically nightmares also, but I like the dream stuff going on in Alundra where you're hopping into people's brains and solving their problems. You turn the nightmares into positivity, and then they're fine again. So those are pretty good. All the dungeons are basically going into someone's dream. That's kind of neat.
I thought that Esper was asking about dreams we've had about video games.
Oh.
I like this too.
So the funny thing about that prompt is for a lot of people, including myself, weed actually makes it so you don't really have dreams as much. You don't really experience them quite so vividly. Sleeping feels more often just like you close your eyes and then open your eyes and kind of nothing happens.
I've played games like that.
I haven't had a whole lot of video game dreams that are interesting, but one common thing for me is if I play too much of a puzzle game, like for example, Super Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo, and I just play that like up until 1 a.m. when I fall asleep, then I will dream that game, but I can't control it.
Mm-hmm.
and it's like this stressful nightmare situation where like my brain is really active and working to try to solve this puzzle that I can't solve because I can't
The
control it.
Tetris
So
effect.
I wake up really really tired off that, and that's no good.
Yeah, don't do that to yourself.
It's like a sleep paralysis version of the Tetris effect. That's
Mhm.
Yeah,
wild.
I only have bad dreams about video games. Like this it's so embarrassing to have this kind of dream, but I have so many times had the kind of dream where I'm like sifting through a garage sale and I see all this rare stuff and I managed to acquire it, and then I'm like, "Oh no, this is a dream. I can't have these."
Oh, I've had that.
It's so stupid. But a good one that I had, I mean, it was also bad because I couldn't have it in real life. But I may have mentioned this on the podcast in the past. I had a dream that I found this prototype console, game console, which was a lot like a WonderSwan, except the screen was metallic. It was like it was somewhere between LCD and LED, like printed on metallic surface.
Oh, I remember you describing this.
Yeah, so it had this odd like tint to it, but it looked unique and it was this very special feeling thing, and I was like, this is actually a really good idea. I should totally do this. And that's what I thought in the dream. But then I woke up and I was like, oh, it's not real. And that's also impossible to make, probably. Maybe now you could. Who knows what with the technologies they have.
Just kind of find yourself a shader art.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's my
I
best one.
once dreamed that I found a prototype like NES game, and it was Bible Adventures 2.
Yeah.
And the label was Noah on a skateboard.
Very good.
Yeah, I think we've done that before, but
We
it
have.
accurately
That's all I
addresses the
got.
prompt.
Yep.
As long as we're telling stories we told before, I had a dream when I was a kid that I was being eaten by a like from Zelda. It was harrowing.
Like, did it feel like getting disintegrated? Do you feel like there were teeth involved? Because those things are just like gelatin, right?
Yeah, it felt acidic. Like
I was like, you're getting
Whoa, okay.
dissolved. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's accurate, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, that's how it felt to me in the dream. Okay, no good video game dreams.
Owned.
Next question. Do you think Bayonetta and Lady Dimitrescu know each other? What's that like?
Oh, probably some similar people worked. No, they didn't. I don't think similar people worked on them, but they come from a similar lineage.
I'm going to say they don't know each other because Nintendo locked down Bayonetta and Resident Evil Village isn't on the Switch.
I don't feel like they would interact that much. I feel like Bayonetta would not be interested in Lady Dimitrescu.
No.
You know how in Wreck-It Ralph, video game character is a job,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm,
It's like what they do, and then when they're not doing it, they're just themselves, right? Like if
Yeah.
you imagine them more as performers, right? Like, oh, Bayonetta starring in Bayonetta. That's not, she's in a video game, and
Oh, Muppet
when she's not in a
style.
video game, she's doing other stuff, right? I could imagine them
In
being
that
like
sense, I think they
familiar
could.
of each other. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Like the number of badass women video game characters is a lot lower than it should be. In the same way that the industry has like a significant gender imbalance that like is a major issue for our ability to create like awesome shit, right? Notable women in games often know each other because the club is smaller and because there's only so many people that you can trade, kind of compare experiences with. And stuff
Yeah,
like
maybe
that.
they do a lot of con panels together, but don't really
Yeah,
hang
maybe they
out.
show up on a podcast every now and then.
Yeah.
Something like that.
What I think is that these two have both been in the same woman-run burlesque troupe, but at different times.
They're
Yeah.
both alums. That's really cute.
Yeah.
Well, I was thinking they used to run into each other playing volleyball, like in their college days.
Roller derby.
Roller derby.
Ooh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, that's it.
See, I was
That's
going
the one.
volleyball because of the height. They're the whatever you call them, centers maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah,
No, that works too.
6 feet whatever women on the roller derby ring. Yeah, that's
They'll do
that's
well.
it. That's it.
That's good. Oh man, you know what's crazy about Bayonetta?
What's crazy about Bayonetta?
What's crazy about Bayonetta is that she has to kill angels like every day or she goes to hell. So her whole day is about finding angels and killing them. I've never found one angel. That's got to be really frustrating.
I wonder if she has to actively think about how her hair is configured or if it comes naturally at a certain point. Like
Nah, that's magic.
driving a stick shift, eventually you sort of forget that you're doing it. Like manual cars, you don't think about it at all. But with a stick shift, you get so used to doing it that eventually it just becomes part of driving. But sometimes you do something stupid because I don't know, your brain just flopped over itself, similar to biting your cheek while you're eating or whatever.
Yeah.
And then it's like you have to think about it again. And so I wonder if that moment happens for her with her hair outfit, where she's like, "Oops, I got to think about how my hair is covering my body."
Oh, you know what I think? I think maybe Bayonetta and Lady Dimitrescu used to be friends, and then Lady D had all these kids, and all she talked about all day were those 3 kids. And Beta's like, I don't want to deal with this anymore. And they kind of fell apart, like you do.
Yeah, Bayo just kind of ghosted her. Like, they're still friends on Facebook,
Right,
and she still writes
exactly.
happy birthday.
I don't want to
but that's
look at
about
any more
it.
pics of your kids. Wipe their faces.
Yeah, but like 5 more years, and Dimitrescu is going to be like, "Hey, you want to hang out again?" And Bayonetta will be like, "Yeah, sure." And the kids will be out of the house. They've got their
Yeah.
own covens going, whatever.
Yeah. Hey, what happened to your kids? Oh, Ethan Winters killed all of them.
Come
Oh,
back
that's
to
rough.
that. Oh yeah. Yeah.
And as far as the hair goes, as someone who does fight and also has hair down to about his almost my hips, you do kind of learn to manage your hair as part of the. You just kind of think of it as more weight on your body that you need to distribute in different ways.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. I mean, her entire outfit is made out of her hair,
Right.
right? So,
That would be additional complication.
yeah, I think it extends to what you're talking about. Let's do the next one.
Okay. Yeah, let's do it. Do you think Sonic the Hedgehog gets tired of all the Chronic the Hemphog jokes?
He probably thinks they're hilarious.
So, I mean, we didn't really establish this, but I do kind of think he's probably a narc.
Yeah.
But I don't know if he's such a narc that he's like, don't say that, like, I don't know that he's like upset by it, but I think but he's also not cool enough to like do the like jerking off motion in the air when he hears it,
Right.
So
Oh.
this is complicated. This is a really good question.
Yeah.
So in regards to the Sonic as an arc thing, like, I understand it from a dispositional perspective, but this dude is also like an eco-terrorist who is freeing his animal friends from the shackles of industrial capitalist slavery.
Oh, sure, yeah.
So
Yeah,
I feel
it's
like this dude
true.
probably hangs out with people who smokes weed just as a matter of
Like
course.
Knuckles.
I don't know. I don't think I don't think what comes to mind when I think of Sonic is ideologically consistent.
Yes,
Mm.
I think that his actions do not really match up with his "come on, guys" kind of attitude
Yeah.
situation that he's got going on. So he's so I guess that means it could be random. Like maybe he passes a police station. He's like, by the way, I saw Tails smoking weed. I don't know. Maybe he's narking on members of the Robotnik army and protecting his friends or something like that. He probably doesn't get tired of it because he likes when he's the subject.
Oh, yeah.
When he's the center of attention, when he's the
Yeah.
subject of conversation.
I
So
think
even
that's
if
it.
it's weird, he's probably just like, yeah, let's talk about me some more.
At least they're talking about me.
Does
Right.
Sonic have a sense of humor?
He thinks he does, but he doesn't really.
Who do you think coined the term Robotnik? That's
Mhm.
comedy gold.
I think it was Tails. I think it was Tails that came up with that.
Well, I mean, this guy, like, when like robots are trying to capture him, he like dresses in a dress like Bugs Bunny and does weird routines, So
True.
that's my Sonic anyway. I haven't really. I'm only familiar with that one specific cartoon. I actually didn't even know he was a video game character until right now.
I
So.
tried
Oh, wow.
rewatching that cartoon a little while ago, and did you know they have a whole episode that's just the SNL Da Bears sketch, but with actual
What
bears?
do you mean you tried to watch, man? You just watched that show.
Yeah.
Great. I once
Sounds
was having
miserable.
lunch with someone who was a background artist in animation, and he mentioned that show, and it's like, oh man, and I just kept asking him about it. I did the same thing when he said Two Stupid Dogs, so whatever. But
Nice.
with that show, he's just like for him, it's just like he doesn't have good memories, but his explanation was like he'd draw the weird backgrounds, and they're great. They're really weird in that cartoon. And he'd be like, is this gonna work? Is this gonna break the animation? And like, his supervisors would be smoking weed going, yeah, I don't know, whatever, and like just take it. And like you watch the show and sometimes the animations just don't make sense with the backgrounds at all. And I think it's the magic of that show is weed.
That sounds all right. I mean,
Okay.
you gotta have a lot of zones in a Sonic property.
That's
Mhm.
true.
There's like weird plants and stuff. It's like a bunch of the guys who like left Spumco just went and did this cartoon for like half the cost or something and just messed around and had fun. And it's just really, it's not a good show, but it's like, man, no one was watching these guys. They were just doing whatever they want. And God, Robotnik's butt, man, in that show.
Yeah, Robotnik. Man, Spumco is so tainted forever to me now.
I know. It's just hard to bring up, but like there were people there who weren't that monster, right? So
Of
like
course.
and they're talented cartoonists. But anyway, back to Robotnik's butt. Man, every time you see his butt in that
A
show,
lot of animation goes into that butt.
it's like all the
Lovingly.
budget goes into his. Yeah, it's just they love his butt. They love sculpting that butt. They love making the cheeks bounce independently. They love
Mhm.
making him do things like he grabs his butt cheeks and lifts them before he sits, like it's a dress. It's so
Yeah.
good.
He does.
He absolutely does.
He wants to get his butthole on a surface. That's what is his objective. He's got to make sure it's butthole to surface. Otherwise, he feels
Yeah.
uncomfortable.
There's one scene where like he's in like the windowsill of his castle thing or whatever, you know, that where the huge statue of him is, and like Sonic's talking to him outside, like taunting him. But every time the camera goes back to Robotnik in the windowsill, he's in a new like seductive pose, messing with Sonic. It's really weird, and I can't believe they got away with everything they got away with in
Man,
that show.
what a show.
I'm
Yeah.
getting serious, like 2001 Space Odyssey. My God, it's full of stars, but it's Frank talking about Robotnik's butt. This is a beautiful moment,
Nice.
y'all.
My God, It's Full of Stars was actually in 2010, the year we made contact. It wasn't in
Oh, my
2001 A Space Odyssey.
But he saw it in 2001. So.
Yeah.
The
Okay,
awe
there you
in
go.
which you talk about Bayonetta's daily life, I'm sure she would say the same thing about you. She'd just be like, can you believe there's a guy whose job it is to know this kind of stuff? Man, I had no
Yeah,
idea. Anyway, back
that's
to
true.
Killing Angels.
That's true. All right, next question from Esper. Describe the worst Flash game you can remember and give it constructive criticism.
I can only remember good ones.
Yeah, that's a really good question for people with photographic memory.
Yeah.
I don't know that I've retained any bad Flash games.
Hey, does that photographic memory have Flash photography?
Excellent, hilarious joke, Alex Jaffe.
Thanks. I've been awake for like 36 hours.
Yeah, that's a lot of hours. I bet that most of the actually bad ones were like advert games that we can't remember at this point. But
Spank the Monkey, that kind of thing.
Oh,
yeah.
there was an advert game that
Just shock the monkey.
Skrillex
All right.
worked on,
Skrillex?
something like that. It was, I think it was for a Skrillex release of some sort, and so it used his music. I remember it being like vaguely Legend of Zelda inspired or something like that. It was, I don't know. Do you remember the point where every single like remotely trendy like restaurant or release or whatever had like a dedicated Flash site that they got some jerk to make
Yes.
like cool music, and it took forever to load? I feel
Man,
like
I
it was
love that.
around this period of time.
What a time.
I like to imagine that Skrillex intended to call himself Skill Rex, but accidentally misspelled his name on some DJ form.
This is an odd
Correct.
thing to like
Let it
to
rock.
think, in my
Yeah, I
opinion.
like to think that a lot. I think about it like a couple times an hour.
I don't know. I feel like you could free up some cycles.
Yeah, let's
Just get rid of that one.
let's clear up some memory space there.
Yeah.
I feel like the thing that I like most about this question is all of us realizing that we only remember the good Flash games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if we took those Flash games and released them as like $50 box products or whatever at that moment, right? Let's say QWOP came out for the PlayStation 1, right? Or what was it? Home Run Derby, the Winnie the Pooh Home Run Derby game. That game's legendary, right? Nanaka
Yeah.
Crash, like all this stuff.
Nanaka Crash. So
Now,
good.
if any of these games were released as like a console release, then they would have been panned. But in
Yeah.
their medium, in the form that they were released, they
Right.
became these high moments in the history of this medium. That's fucking
Nice.
awesome.
High moment.
There's no replacement
Hey,
for it at all. There's no replacement for something that's that easy to make. And
Yeah.
also the barrier to entry is clicking a link and suddenly you're in a game. Like that's
Yeah.
for some reason that's not Stadia or whatever, right? Like we're still not there for some reason.
It
You just
sucks
click
that
a
that's
link and it's like,
gone.
oh, you're in a game. You're playing a game now.
Yeah, it was supposed to be HTML5 was going to replace it, and that, of course, did not occur. Facebook games weren't technically all made in Flash, but there were some.
They mostly were, yeah.
They
like,
mostly were. So I guess probably all the worst ones were just join my guild to give me gems
Yeah.
kind of nonsenses. I don't remember what any of them were called, but they were similar to the idea of pregnant Elsa dies at dentist, which we've mentioned on this podcast
Couple
in the past.
times.
Couple of times.
How long did it take everyone here to realize that congregate was a play on Donkey Kong?
I don't think it is.
With the K, it's congregate.
Yeah, but I don't think it actually. I don't know if that was a joke, but it is.
No,
it
I
definitely
think
isn't.
I think they made that the thing for like Flash game repository, congregate.
I mean, the logo is an ant.
Yeah, but I think they named
But
it
where's
that
the
'cause
K
of
coming
Kong.
from? Yeah.
It starts with a K.
Could be Mortal Kombat. Just
No.
like they didn't want it. They wanted better SEOs, and
They have the whole word Kong in there.
I know a couple of folks who used to work there, and now I'm going to ask them though.
Please do. Please do
Okay,
and get back
will
to
do.
us.
All
All right,
right.
Emily Greer, we're
It
gonna
would
find
mean
out.
a lot to me.
Okay. Actually, one of them was the other Alex Jaffe, so we could ask him.
Yeah, please.
true.
Other Alex Jaffe, if you're listening, write in and tell me about Congregate.
OAJ, as we call him.
Yeah.
Should we take a break?
Yeah, let's take a break.
Okay.
Take a break
Let's
before
play
I
some
message
Flash
Emily Greer. Okay, good.
Yeah, send her a message.
Yeah,
But
please
not right
ask her right. No, ask her right now. Go ahead.
She's not gonna tell me right now.
Text her. See if she
Actually, maybe I
responds.
have her phone number. If I do have her phone number, I'll text her and ask.
Please.
Okay, I'll BRB.
And let's see if we get a response before the end of the show.
Emily Greer calling in to the Insert
Yeah.
podcast.
Is
Live.
Congregate a play on Donkey Kong? The people need to know.
I don't have her phone number, so I couldn't.
Damn.
DM her on Twitter.
But it turns out we didn't follow each other. I just followed her right now.
Oh, I can DM her. We follow each other. I got it.
Ooh, the flex.
Yeah. Nice. I'm gonna ask Alex Jaffe. Hey, Alex Jaffe, was Congregate
I mean, the answer is no. But
supposed
it'll be good to know.
I think it's yes.
$5? We got some stakes on this?
Yeah, $5. I'm betting $5 American dollars that Congregate was based on Donkey Kong. Who's got this action?
I'm betting against it right now.
I'm betting against it as well.
All right. Well, I'll give you both $5 if I'm wrong.
I have asked Emily Greer.
All right. Welcome back
We'll
to the
see.
show. This is the 420 episode. We're all kind of in a really weird headspace, and you know what? I'm kind of feeling okay about it. How you feeling over there, Patrick?
Oh, I'm chilling, baby. Let's go.
Very good. Here's the next question from Esper. Esper says, what's with the weird relationship between game to film adaptations and film to game adaptations? Why are these media generally so close yet so far? Esper says, Jaffe, you may have already asked this, and maybe I have and maybe I haven't. I didn't think to check.
Well, I got some answers about this, and I think one of the big ones is the older, no longer firmly held desire to release the game at the same time as the movie. That was what made the game bad, generally, was very short turnaround time, not so much insight into what the movie was actually about because they didn't want to, they didn't want info leaking. So you'd wind up with a game that was sort of having something to do with the movie, but was also made in 3 months and kind of sucked. And so that's why Alien Resurrection, which I mentioned on the British Games podcast, is an excellent one because they just took another year and made a cool game that has very little to do with it. It takes place in the world of Alien Resurrection, but isn't like about that movie. And then on the other direction, I think it's because for a very long time, this has definitely changed recently, but for a very long time, the people that got the rights, the film rights to video game properties did not care.
Sorry.
Whoa, that was a
Bark
very
was right.
loud bark.
I mean, that's exactly what they felt like.
That was a preach on to
Yeah.
you, is what that was.
Yeah, Dog agrees.
Testify.
That's where you got like Uwe Boll got all of these video game licenses because he was able to pay some money and it was free money for Sega or Activision or Atari or whoever, Infogrames, whoever owned Alone in the Dark. And they were like, fine, ruin our property. We don't care. Make a movie. And they would just do it. So it was either like crassly wanting to capitalize on something children are into or crassly capitalizing on here's an IP that already exists that I can just make a movie that's destined to fail, that is designed to fail, as Uwe Boll's movies were. Because
Well, did they wait? What, did they fail? Like they lose money?
So Uwe Boll's whole scheme was you could get funding from the German government up to like $5 million to make a movie, and if it made less than that amount back, you didn't have to pay it back. There was no recoup. If you if your money lost, if your movie lost money. And so his whole scheme was, I will make a bad movie that will, I mean, I don't think he was really trying to make a bad movie, but he wasn't trying to make a good one either. Did I tell this story about how I was watching the House of the Dead commentary recently?
I don't remember.
Tell it.
I was watching the director's commentary for it, and Uwe Boll was like, yes, the children, they're playing this game in all the palladiums. And and one of the actors was like, Palladium was that was the name of one arcade that we went to. And he's like, what? And the actor is like, so we took him to this arcade. It was called the Palladium. And there was an arcade called Palladium in Los Angeles. And ever since then, for the last year and a half, he's been telling everybody that arcades are Palladiums.
Palladiums. We might have to adopt that here.
I friggin' love it. So like
Yeah.
that's the man that was making these games, these movies about these games, and
The man who didn't know what arcades were.
didn't know what arcades were, and he was like, "I know all about these properties. They played in all the palladiums."
I mean, how many like major ones have there been? There's been Super Mario. There's been like
Mortal
the
Kombat.
first Resident Evil, Mortal Kombat.
Street Fighter.
Assassin's Creed, Warcraft.
Was there an Assassin's Creed that was? Oh god, Warcraft.
Yep, there
Okay,
was
there's more
Tomb
than I
Raider.
remember.
Man,
Yeah.
I have a list here because I've been wanting to. Whenever we get Aaron Stewart on here, I've been wanting to do
A movie ranking episode.
a movie ranking episode. So
Yeah.
I've listed some that I haven't watched.
I feel like all the video game movies are not, worse than where like the comic book movies were at that point. Like it just takes a long time.
I think they are.
I think movie and like TV producer people are like, besides like Republicans, the worst garbage humans in the world. And
Maybe.
I think that they refuse to acknowledge that a property can be treated in a way that isn't their like dumbass assembly line way of making things. And so I think that they know better what makes a property appealing than the people who actually find the property appealing.
I've mentioned this before, but their Indivisible got licensed to become some sort of film or TV property. I don't actually.
Oh wait,
know.
I have breaking news, everyone! Breaking news.
Oh, Emily Greer.
The conversation. The reply from Emily Greer.
Oh boy.
When I asked, did Donkey Kong have anything to do with the K and congregate is LOL, no.
Oh no!
I knew
it. No! I was sure.
The K was because it was a URL we could get.
Hey.
And it was
I thought it was like, like video
gamery.
games.
It's vaguely gamery to use a K.
Oh.
Because of stuff like Mortal Kombat.
All right.
Guess who was right? It was me.
Damn.
It was me.
I was sure. I was so sure. I've been come-upped. My comeuppance has arrived. All right. I think on that we have to go on to the next question.
Now let's move on.
What can we say about the classic "Winners Don't Do Drugs" campaign in arcades or Palladium?
It's so stupid that I remember.
Definitely didn't work.
No. I mean, it was something for kids in my high school to laugh at while smoking weed.
Yeah.
That was something.
I mean, I play old games that still have that shit in there, and I laugh while smoking weed like every time. It's awesome.
I was talking to Emily Greer. What was the question?
What can we say about the classic "Winners Don't Do Drugs" campaign in arcades?
That was the narcs. There were narcs behind that.
They were narcs. They were all narcs. All right.
Okay. So was that was like
it was part of the Nancy Reagan Dare stuff, right?
Was it something that was optional to put in a game? Was it something that was enforced? I don't actually know.
It's a good
I would
question.
think you would know some stuff about
it. It felt like it was enforced to me, but I actually don't know the real answer to that. That's interesting.
It's one of the first ads that you would see in a video game, right? Like that screen is kind of ad inventory.
It almost felt like a precursor to the ESRB.
Yeah.
It was only in arcades, which were coming off the end of being controversial maybe at the time, right? Because like we're still coming off of the era where arcades are where the kids smoke the weed and do the bad kid stuff.
It could have been after Mortal Kombat as like a concession. It's like, okay,
no,
we know that you don't like blood. Was it before Mortal Kombat? Okay,
I'm looking it up. Hang on.
This is interesting to me because I remember there was it was when I think like a retro arcade. I forget where it was, but it opened up somewhere in the Bay Area, and I was on a
89.
Oh, wow.
I was on a mailing list with a bunch of other local arcade enthusiasts. I think Frank, you might have been on there too, or Brandon. But someone commented on how arcades had changed after Street Fighter 2 because that was when they had let all the riffraff in, and I was like, wow, that sure is a generational. Yeah, that's a generational turning point in arcade games, right? Like
that's objectively wrong.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But if they think of Street Fighter 2 as when hooligans took over the arcades to beat each other up, and the civilized competition over high scoreboards and stuff was gone, right? Then anti-drug PSAs, like if that's the kind of reputation or the kind of image that people have for an arcade at that period of time, drug PSAs make perfect sense.
Yeah, I'm also realizing the racially charged aspect of what that person was saying, because like Street Fighter was definitely bringing a diverse crowd into the arcades, and like, oh man,
these aren't all white kids. That's pretty bad.
Have we ever talked about the first place that we played an arcade game? Because for me, it was definitely I played Street Fighter 2 in a 7-Eleven, and it was Rainbow Edition.
Ooh, I
And I
was
was
also
confused
Street
as
Fighter
heck.
2. Actually, I don't think Street Fighter 2 was my first arcade game. I do remember the first Street Fighter 2 that I played. It was in a 7-Eleven on Clement Street, actually. And place closed down a couple years ago, made me real sad. But my mom and dad actually went on arcade dates. Like that was a thing,
Oh, wow.
you know. And I guess she was like really good at Centipede. I was like, oh, this is where I get it from, you know.
That rules, because Centipede is like an extremely notable, prominent arcade game developed by a woman. So it rules that actually worked toward getting your mom to play that game.
Also, like high level Centipede looks awesome. Like it's very impressive.
That game rules.
My childhood arcade was a place called Boomers. They also had, yeah, exactly.
That's who goes there now.
Yeah, well, they also had a mini golf course, and their mascot basically looked like the Pringles logo. And in their waning years,
Apparently,
they
mustache.
in their waning years, they thought that the best way to attract an audience would be to build the world's biggest wooden roller coaster. They thought like coaster heads would come flocking to go there.
God.
But it was
Danger
this
zone.
huge boondoggle that took many years, and nobody came, and the whole thing went bankrupt.
Frank, you ever see the world's largest thermometer? Did you ever stop near there?
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's in Baker, California.
Right.
And they got that Greek takeout place, and they got real good milkshakes there.
Exactly. I had stopped there a bunch of times, because why not? On your way from Los Angeles to Las Vegas, it's right there.
That's exactly it, because I grew up in Vegas, as you know.
Yeah.
So like that was the first stop after leaving Vegas every time for me.
Yeah, it makes sense. And for me, in college, I was going to school in LA, and I was dating a lady from Las Vegas, and so we would go out there and visit her family. But the last time that I went to it, it was really hot, and it was just entirely covered with bugs. There were bugs everywhere, and it was just like
Baker or the thermometer.
Well, Baker, I should say. Entirely, but the thermometer being like glowy or whatever, reflecting the lights of the other lights, all the bugs were just like, I got to get on this thing.
Yeah.
And so it was just the world's biggest bug magnet is what it had become at that point.
Well, that itself is kind of an attraction, I guess, for a different sort.
Baker seems like a very sad place, because you go there and like the youth are hanging out in the parking lot of the gas station, because that's like the one place. So don't live in Baker, folks.
Yeah.
Winners don't live in Baker.
Winners don't live in Baker.
Don't get born in Baker if you have the choice.
Next question. This one comes from Esper Quinn, who asks, what's a game that's just all right?
I have to say that was the best joke so far. This one comes from Esper Quinn.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was even intentional.
It was.
But I liked it. A game that's just all right. Boy, that's a lot of them.
Yeah.
I'm looking over here at my PC Engine wall, and as much as I love that console, like almost every RPG on there is just all right. It's like, okay, yeah, you played Dragon Quest. Congratulations. You thought you could do it too, but you couldn't. Here's a game.
I have an answer.
Yeah.
The entire Adventure Island series.
Yeah.
That's
all
true.
right.
That is my answer. Final answer.
No, that's good.
Yeah, just fine.
Yeah. Real.
Yeah.
But again, Hudson, right? So he smokes weed.
Yeah.
He smokes weed.
Oh, obviously the Adventures Island guy smokes weed.
16 shot, more like 16 hit.
Oh, you know what game is also just all right, and the protagonist also smokes weed? The Gomon series, Mystical Ninja.
Tim, if Tim were here, he would disagree with you on that being just all right. He probably smokes weed, that guy, but yeah, he's not here.
It gets a little bit beyond just all right, because it's actually funny.
Yeah,
it's a little bit more than just all right.
All right.
The Winback series, that's just all right.
Yeah.
Is this controversial? Onimusha? I think Onimusha is just all right.
Patrick, what are some fighting games that are just all right?
Boy, there's so many.
I mean, on one hand, yes, but on the other hand, at least this is for me, right? Like I was saying earlier, that when shit hits for me, it makes it hard for me to understand that the shit doesn't hit like that for everybody else. Right. And with fighting games, I look at any fighting game and I'm like, oh, you are beautiful, special, and perfect in your own way.
I agree with that.
Even the bad ones are like pizza. Any fighting game is a certain base level of good, and then if you found ways to make it go below that, like you fucked up in ways that can only be considered a contribution to the genre overall.
So while I generally agree, I tend to find, because as you know, I love what they call poverty fighting games. I love the games that have messed up in an interesting enough way. But
Yep.
there are games that are like bland and uninteresting, and like the ways that they failed are not intriguing. Like for example, Fight for Life on the Atari Jaguar. I don't know if you ever played it, but
Nope.
it's like we wished we could make Virtua Fighter, but we couldn't. This is the best we could do. And it's just like there's nothing going on. Like the fact that it runs on a Jaguar is the most interesting thing about it.
I see.
So I think there's a few out there that are like that. The Sailor Moon fighting game for 3DO is fine. The most interesting thing about that is that Sailor Moon characters are in it. The Sailor Moon fighting game for the Super Nintendo is like mechanically interesting and
Oh, it's amazing.
I just remembered there was something I meant to do the next time we had Patrick on the show, but I forgot to book it because we had this whole other theme going on. But we got to get you back on for like a 20-minute special or something where we just watch the Salty Bet stream and
that's right.
comment on
Oh,
it.
hell yeah.
Yeah.
I'm super down for that.
Yeah, and do just
we'll
like
do that.
color commentary on everything that comes up. I'd love
But
to
you
do
know
that
what
as
we
like
should also
a
do
20-minute special. What?
is we should do a ranking of all fighting games, of best fighting games, or most interesting fighting games.
Yeah, weirdest fighting games.
Best of the best.
Yeah.
Or maybe two separate categories. 10 best, 10 interestingest.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think anybody could make a best fighting game list, so it would be more interesting if we did the 10 most interesting fighting games.
I mean, I think if you call it insert credits 10 most or 10 best fighting games,
yeah,
then
if
you
insert
get
credits
exactly
top
what you
10,
want
then
out of it, right?
that's just it, baby.
It's never at best, right? It's just the insert credit
The
list.
most
right?
insert
Exactly.
creditiest.
Yeah, exactly.
I want to. You mentioned Sailor Moon, so there's something last night that delighted me during the Olympics, which is that Team USA on the beach volleyball team. There's a player named Kelly Clace. She has like 2 ponytails, and they asked her what's up with that, and she's like, "Oh, I really like Sailor Moon."
Nice.
Oh,
which
that's
is cool.
awesome.
And she has a Full Metal Alchemist tattoo. Someone mentioned to the reporter that she's been playing video games in her hotel room. So they're like, "What have you been playing?" And she's like, "Oh, Spider-Man Miles Morales." I'm like, wow, this is great.
We should get her on the show.
There's regular people who aren't just Olympians that like I would hang out with. That's cool.
We're finally getting to this point where like I was remarking on this just the other day. I was at the grocery store and there was a 50-year-old man wearing a Dragon Ball Z shirt.
Yeah.
And it's like, nerd culture is old now. Like,
Yeah.
I mean,
it really is.
It's not that we're all old. It's just that nerd culture has gotten old to where the spectrum of people that like this kind of nonsense can be like age 8 through 50 something and without irony.
Yeah, I was going to say in the movie adaptation segment that Superman the movie came out in 1978, and Superman himself had been around for 40 years at that point. So if we go back to like 1981...
I don't count that movie, by the way. That was an anomaly.
Okay.
Tim Burton Batman, so you count those?
Yeah, that's not Batman.
This is a pretty awesome parallel, right? Because we opened this podcast today talking about how our parents were Grateful Dead heads, right?
Yeah.
And kids these days are growing up into video games and broader kind of associated anime and nerd culture, whatever, in a very similar way to the way we all grew up, like in kind of a like mature middle of rock and roll, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All of us growing up, rock and roll was just around us. It was just this kind of music that, was probably a lot of the music that you were listening to, right? Just because it was everywhere. And our parents' generations could remember to differing degrees, like what a pre-rock and roll was. But that's not us. We grew up in this. It's just like water.
Yeah.
That's a really good note to wrap the show up on, but we're not going to do that because I got 2 more topics.
2 more.
Yeah, we can do this one really quick before we go into the lightning round. Just give me your answers. Esper asks, who is the Willie Nelson of video game?
Oh, goodness.
I immediately went to Snoop Dogg.
Oh, man. It probably is Snoop Dogg.
Snoop Dogg is the Willie Nelson of video. Yeah, Snoop Dogg has been video game adjacent enough that I would count him.
I mean, he was in Tekken.
Yeah.
He's in the new WWE game. That's like 1993 Snoop is in the new WWE game that's coming out. He's in a lot of stuff. He's also in that Drop It Like It's Hot Kirby meme video.
Yes,
that qualifies.
I guess the perfect thing about this is that Snoop actually doesn't need to do that much in video games himself for him to be in like
Yeah.
the Willie Nelson of video games.
Right.
It is the image of Snoop Dogg that we have plastered everywhere.
The other way to go is like someone who's old and venerable and nobody hates. And I can't think of who that is. Miyamoto? I don't know. It doesn't feel right.
Yeah, I think Snoop Dogg is a good enough answer.
Got to be someone who smokes a lot more weed than Miyamoto does.
You know, he was the something else of video games, but I
Yeah.
think I got to bring him back. Jeff Minter.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Maybe.
it could be Jeff Minter. That's
Could
true.
be Jeff Minty.
Because like Willie Nelson's like album every year forever.
Yeah.
And that's also Jeff Minter.
Right.
Yeah. Well, those are both very good, and I don't think I'm going to come up with a better one than either of those.
That's fine, because I think I want to go right into our lightning round.
I say it's Sonic.
Okay. Sure. Here's one that I wrote because Esper didn't include a lightning round topic. This
Esper.
one, you're all working together, and we don't get out of here until you reach the goal. But what you have to do for me right now, you're all working as a team to come up with 30 weed-themed parodies of video game titles.
Oh god. Okay, Smoky Bong Bluntry.
1.
We already had Bong's Adventure and Super Bonger Man.
Yeah, 2, 3.
Hold on, I have a whole list of Zelda ones that I put. I used to have a list of these. Man, I love Smoky Bong Bluntry though. Like that one is like, I love it.
That's the cream of the crop right there.
Yeah.
I
I
mean,
mean, Blaze Green has always been a go-to for us fighting game players.
4.
Sure. I mean, Chronic the Hedgehog, we got.
Sure, I'll count it. 5.
I mean, we can get really bad, like stuff that would be in T-shirts, like Super Smoky O Bros, right?
Yeah,
I don't count that,
Chronic
no.
Trigger.
Chronic Trigger counts. 6.
Oh, you don't
Okay.
count that kind? Okay.
Yeah, it's got to be at least mildly clever.
I'm gonna
Okay.
go through a list of ones that I have come up with by myself in the past.
All right.
Okay.
Let's do
Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Grass.
it. 7.
Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening.
8.
Legend of Zelda: Bong Hit Princess.
9.
Legend of Zelda: Smoke Arena of Time.
10.
Legend of Zelda: Mary Jane's Mask.
11.
Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Weed.
12.
Legend of Zelda: The Mind Baker.
13.
Legend of Zelda: 420 Swords Adventures.
14.
Legend of Zelda: The Hashish Cap.
I'm not counting that one.
Okay, you don't have to. Zelda: The Bonged of Gamelon. That's
15.
also not very good.
No.
Legend of Zelda: Highward Sword.
Yeah, 16.
Link's Grass Bowl Training.
17. We're over halfway home.
Okay. Goodness.
Oh my
There we go.
god, that was amazing.
Yes.
Did anyone say Smoke Him On?
Nobody did.
No,
I counted
we
just
did.
That's 18. We're good.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
12 more.
We'll get there.
My head is stuck on Battletoads for some reason.
Bongletoads? That's not very good.
That's not a thing.
No.
No.
I'm using tools.
Oh,
now.
I got one. Yayonetta.
Nice.
That's 19.
Nice.
Okay, for the Nintendo DS, Lunar : Dragon Bong.
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah. Did we hear Vape Escape?
No, that's 21.
Okay. Reefer Pinata. That's
Oh,
the
that's
other
good. 22.
Did anyone do Assassin's Weed?
Nobody did. 23.
There was an Assassin's Weed Chronicles too, right?
Oh, Assassin's Creed. I'm going to count that double.
Okay, but you gotta count Illweed too. Come on.
Weed, yeah.
Oh, wait, that's 25. Okay.
This is stupid, but Sylphweed. That's a Sylphweed.
I'll count it. 26.
Sylphweed.
What was there's a game that's Gravity something.
Gravity Rush?
Yeah.
Yeah,
You could get Gravity Kush.
Oh, Gravity
You
Kush
could.
is good. I like it.
definitely
27.
good. That's one we haven't gotten yet. Okay, here's one that is not that great, but Puffful Mail. Puffful Mail. I don't love it. I don't love it.
No, that's not making the list.
Okay, Yakuza 6: The Bong of Life.
Sure. 28.
What about?
Did anyone do Grasslvania?
No, we didn't. We should have.
Okay, that's 29. We need one more to bring it home.
Oh man, I don't want this to be the last one. I was thinking that Load Runner works by itself.
No, I think that's it.
Okay.
Buzzer noise. That is the episode of Insert Credit that we just did. Does anybody want to do recommendations at this point?
I do want to.
Sure, go for
I
it.
think that Patrick Miller should recommend strains of weed first of all.
Oh
Yes.
man, let's see.
Why don't you go ahead and do that right now if you want to?
My two absolute favorites are Green Crack and Trainwreck. Those are and they're on the older side at this point. Like the weed cultivation game has been crazy, but I have very fond memories of hitting those two, and you can usually find them for like mid prices if you're on a delivery service and they happen to have
Are these
it.
California strains, I assume?
I don't actually know. Like weed demystified itself, or I guess the weed
Right.
connoisseur game has significantly deepened after the shit got decriminalized, right?
Yes.
These days I just go on the website, order whatever I want, it shows up on my doorstep in about 3 hours. It's fucking great. And no more like white dudes with dreads and Ford Aerostars rolling up and whatever, and like none of that stuff. But because of that, like when I bought weed and it was illegal, it was like everything I got, I was like, oh shit, I got some green crack. Yo, this is amazing. That would be on my head for 3 months. Now I'm like, I can barely remember some of the stuff that I've been smoking on. But those
that
two
sounds
will forever,
appropriate.
Yeah.
right? But those two will forever remain fond. I say place in my heart.
If you can remember the strain, it probably wasn't that good.
So, I'm going to do some recommendations. I feel that it is only appropriate for me to recommend as many of my favorite stoner rock bands as possible because
Ooh.
I was big into this genre in the late 90s, early 2000s, and it's interesting how the best places for stoner rock were like there were 3 places. 1, the Midwest, 2, the American South, 3, Sweden. Sweden was a little unexpected one, but they were really good over there. So here's my favorite stoner rock albums, but I'm ignoring all the big names except for maybe one, because I feel like that's not what you expect from Instant Credit. You want to get the deep cuts.
Yeah.
So Sea of Green, Northern Lights. This is an EP, only 5 or 6 songs on it, but it's very like airy kind of stoner rock that's a little more vocally driven, and it's really nice. It's just fresh feeling somehow. Mammoth Volume, Single Book of Songs, and also their self-titled album. But Single Book of Songs is it is in my top 20 rock albums of all time, personally. This is one of I think they're from Norway. They are so instrumentally advanced compared to most stoner rock. Each song has like 5 parts to it, and their hooks are so good. It's really, really worth listening to. Terra Firma, their self-titled album, it has a lot of notes in it. It's they don't have as many riffs and changes as Mammoth Volume, but they have like more musically complex, more prog kind of influence without being psychedelic stoner rock. So that's a good one. Lowrider's Ode to I.O. is a very classic Swedish style stoner rock. Just all catchy riffs all the time. Very good. Gamera's Smoke and Mirrors album has extremely chunky guitars. If you want to get that kind of like down and dirty stoner rock vibe, they're really good. Now I'm going to go into a few that are a little more like, they're not pure stoner rock. They're more into like a little verging on the metal zone. There's Bongzilla. Their Stash album is really good. All their albums kind of sound the same, to be honest, but it's very like deathy stoner stuff, and a lot of quotes from horror movies in these things, and like bong rip sounds and things. It's just one of those kinds of albums. Nightstick's Ultimatum album. This is despite the name, they're an anti-cop, anti-imperialist, kind of more hardcore oriented stoner rock album. Pretty good. The cover has them just all wearing pig masks. And then there is I Hate God. This is the one more popular band, but the singer died in the last 2 years, and I never got to see them live, and I super regret it. Their album Southern Discomfort is fantastic.
That's
and
good.
The first song on there is called Ruptured Heart Theory, and that's basically when I'm actively trying not to talk to anybody, when I'm like, it's time to leave me alone. That song is like the embodiment of what is happening in my head at that time. Like, just listen to that song and you'll be like, oh, that's why I should leave him alone. It's not necessarily in a bad way. It's just like I'm preoccupied. I'm gonna just make that up as a word.
That's good.
In that particular zone at that time. Okay, those are my recommendations.
Frank, speaking of being needed to be left alone, what are your recommendations this week?
I just suddenly got a craving for peanuts. I don't know, maybe I got a contact high.
Yeah.
So I'm going to recommend some roasted peanuts in the shell.
That's good.
Go reunite yourself with those, because if you're like me, you haven't had those in years. Sounds
Frank,
great,
have
right?
you gotten the smoked mozzarella peanuts that you can get from, I think it's the Carolina Nut Company?
What? No.
That sounds good.
They're so good. You can get them at Cost Plus World Market in Oakland by the Bevmo.
Mozzarella peanut.
Okay.
And smoked mozzarella flavor peanuts. They're
Whoa.
so dang good. Get some of them.
Whoa.
I'll
Okay.
get
Now,
you some.
talk about
I'll
your
get-
Yeah.
underrated gamer snacks.
Yeah, for real.
All right. I've been watching The Righteous Gemstones, and I would like to recommend that everybody watch the first 90
You talking about Steven Universe?
Nice.
Nice.
Nice. No. I'm talking about the John Goodman show. I would like to recommend that everybody watch the first 90 seconds of episode 8 to hear Walton Goggins deliver one of the best lines I've ever heard.
Okay.
I would also like to recommend that if you're listening to the show anywhere where you can subscribe to or review podcasts, that you subscribe to or review this podcast, you dummy.
Yes, please.
It helps us a lot. You could also go to patreon.com/insert credit to support us financially. There you could, why would you do that? Well, because you could submit your own topics or get access to our regular episodes one day early.
Patrick Miller, you do it.
Okay, I'll go do that.
No, I
Also-
mean you say one day early.
One day early. Shit.
One day early, shit! And even access monthly bonus episodes and other exclusive content. Patrick, we're definitely going to organize that Salty Bed episode. I really want to do that.
Oh yeah. Also, for your 420th anniversary episode,
Yeah.
you all should be high, and I'll be the sober.
I don't know how. I've tried. Remember?
I know.
Maybe by then we'll be able to figure it out. We got a few years.
If we do get to episode 420, which at this rate should happen around the year 2030, I'll eat some gummies. How about that?
We're gonna be so rich.
Yeah.
By 2030.
Yeah.
It's gonna rule.
You can engage with us. Yeah, do that. One day early. Bonus
One
episodes.
day early.
One day early.
Thank
You can also join us on forums.insertcredit.com and follow us on Twitter for our own personal updates and projects. The show is at Insert Credit. I'm at Alex Jaffe. Frank is at Frank Stafaldi. Brandon is at Necrosofty. And Patrick is at Pat the Flip. This show is edited by the great and talented Esper Quinn with music by the indomitable Kurt Feldman. Once more, I'm Alex Jaffe.
I'm Frank Cifaldi.
I'm Brandon Sheffield.
I'm Patrick Miller.
And your game has now been saved. Wahoo yippee, as the
That was
kids
good.
say.
Yeah,
I
think-
need to go to sleep immediately.
Yeah, you should go to sleep, Jeffy.